Hello guys, welcome back to this channel. Today we are reviewing the original Scream. This is the movie that introduced me to horror movies and I enjoy it quite nicely. And overall, today I'm just going to get into my thoughts about it, what I like about it. And this is a movie I was pretty excited about reviewing, and here I am. I have only seen the sequels once. I think I've seen 2 and 3 once. I might have seen 4. Yeah, I think I did. And then I'm gonna see Scream 2022 hopefully this week. And this review did get delayed because I had a decent amount of homework throughout the week, so that's an issue. So anyway, let's just get into it. Starting off with what this movie's about. This movie's about this killer on the loose who's killing a bunch of teenagers, and this character played by Ned Cable, Sidney Prescott, is at the target of this whole situation because her mother died a year ago, and supposedly the killer in the Scream movie is the same killer that killed her mother about a year ago. And then it kind of goes on playing with horror movie tropes, and then the characters know that they're in a horror movie. So you go on, you end up at this party, and then shenanigans happens. Next up we have The Good, and starting off The Good, we have the overall sort of playing around with the horror genre and sort of referencing it, calling back to it, playing around with tropes like don't ever say I'll be right back, because you won't be. I think overall it plays around with those references and tropes pretty nicely, and I think all the horror movie references work, especially the ones to Halloween where even the characters are watching Halloween at that party sequence in the second half of the movie. And overall, Wes Craven, I think, has done a bunch of very great horror movies. This big one is this one and Nightmare on Elm Street, which I think both of these are pretty great movies for the most part. And overall, I actually do quite enjoy this movie. It's very entertaining. It's very interesting that you don't know who the killer is, and then once the killer's revealed, everything makes sense to you. And then on rewatches, you sort of try to picture who was the killer and which killer was each. Oh, I just totally spoiled the movie. There's 2 killers. Spoiler alert. You're trying to figure out which one's in which scene. Makes it interesting on rewatches. And overall, this is probably the horror movie that I've seen the most. Yeah, that's for sure. And overall, I rewatch it every once in a while. I think it's a great movie and very fun to watch. It's not like my favorite slasher out there. I think I'd take Halloween and Nightmare over this one. But overall, I think it works pretty nicely. And I think all of those horror movie tropes work. And overall, I think the selection of characters, Sydney works really nicely as a final girl. One of the more badass ones. I feel like some of the characteristics of Nancy, of Sydney, were borrowed from Nancy in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And I think that was pretty cool for the most part. And overall, it's not just her. Stu is a great character, very psychotic and funny at the same time. You have Billy as the boyfriend, who pretty interesting character. All the characters work here. Randy as the horror movie geek is that's the only one I wanted to bring up. And overall, I think the characters here work nicely. The story works really nicely. And overall comes together for a great movie. I think that opening scene is absolutely fantastic, and it's a really clever way of opening the movie. I do think the one thing about the Ghostface Killer, this goes for all of the Scream movies I've seen so far, I feel like the Ghostface Killer is much scarier when he's talking on the phone than when he's running in motion, because I think it's a little goofy, to be honest. So, overall, I think all of this stuff really works for me, and I quite enjoy this movie. I mean, it's not flawless. I have some issues with it, but overall, I think all of the plot threads put together and the way it kind of ends at this party, and then I think all the characters work. I think the best one, in my opinion, is Sydney and Randy. And overall, all of those elements put together work really nicely. I have a couple issues, and we're just going to get right into that. The first thing is that the story's plays out a bit odd, because I think the way it starts, this is a very big nitpick, because I don't really have problems with that, but you have the beginning where I think it's very fast moving, and then once you get to the end, it just takes place at the party. This only takes place over 2 nights, which very quite the killer spree for just one. There's 2 nights, interesting nonetheless. And then how many people get killed? Anyway, this is a very small nitpick, and I kind of wanted to get something in the mix, so there you go. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about that, but overall, yeah, I guess that's it. Next up, you have The Bad, and my biggest issue, this has always been my biggest issue. Overall, the kills are not that inventive. It's just Ghostface stabbing them and all of that stuff. And overall, it's not that creative. I think and I think when they try to get creative with that stupid garage kill, it's like that's my least favorite scene in the entire movie. And I'm like, really, you had to do that? So every time I watch it, I don't care for that one. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I'm like, whenever they try to get creative with the kills, especially in this movie, the sequel is like Scream 3 gets a little bit more creative with them. But overall, this one, no, I didn't care for the kills pretty much at all in this one. It's just a guy stabbing them, which I don't have a problem with that, but it's one of the least creative elements of this movie. But none of that's all that said. I think it's a really enjoyable movie, and I think it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And I think that opening scene works perfectly. In conclusion, I'm gonna give this one a 9.3 out of 10. I quite enjoy this one. I think it's a great one to come back to every couple of months. And overall, it really works nicely, and I think it is a great horror movie. I don't like it quite as much as Nightmare on Elm Street and a couple other ones. My favorite horror movie of all time is Aliens, so I gotta review the Alien and Aliens. I haven't seen Alien 3 and on. That's probably my favorite. Although my favorite traditional horror movie, I'd say Nightmare on Elm Street probably. Or I guess slasher horror movie. Yeah, that sounds about accurate. Or I guess if you want to call it the Terminator horror movie. Although I like Aliens more. Whatever. Overall, quite enjoy this movie. Share your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.